Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. I took yesterday off to work on bonsai trees. I was really tired from working on the house and needed a day off. So I'll show you the video of all the work I did on the plant room in the last few days. I've been working getting the structure up there ready to take the windows down. I removed a large beam on top and all the structure above the windows. So basically now there's just the vertical beam, some screws into it holding the windows in place. Such a beautiful day today. I'll give you an update on the plant room progress. And if you look up here, you will see that there is only one window up there now. So we got the window out, and it wasn't as bad as I initially thought it would be. Here's a window on the ground, all in one piece. No breakage. So I'll show you how we did it. We put an eye hook in the window here and tied a rope that was going to the inside of the plant room. I'll show you that. The rope came from the window, the triangle part of the window here, and down into the plant room. And my wife held onto the rope. And I put all these screws in at the bottom of the window so it couldn't fall into the room here, because it was held in place with, some vertical screws so it couldn't slide off and into the room. And on the outside I put some screws also, some long screws, and they were kind of sticking up. And then I got the Sawzall and I had to cut through 2 screws on the vertical part here. And I also had a screw on the inside so the window couldn't tip into the room here. And then, so once I sawed through the 2 bolts, or the 2 screws that were holding the window in place in the vertical beam, the window I could feel it pop loose a bit. And then I pulled from the scaffolding side, and my wife kept the tension on with the rope. And slowly we lowered it down onto the scaffolding, onto the top rung up there. Here's the view from up top. So if you can imagine the window lying down on top of the scaffolding here, so the point side was facing out. And then we spun the window around on top here, and then lowered the edge down to the next level on the scaffolding, and then down to the next level, which is that 2x4 down there, and then finally onto the ground, keeping the tension on the rope. And we actually got Julian to pull the tension on the rope while Laura and I fed it down from the sides down to the ground. And it went quite well. It was pretty slick. I'm seeing lots of rot underneath the window up here. Yeah, so that'll all have to be pulled apart. Even this central beam, you can see the brace I put in there. It was kind of flopping back and forth, and I was worried that it might break. See how it's kind of rotted on this side? Yeah, I was worried that, a good wind or something might blow this whole thing down. But now that there's only one window in place, I feel a lot better, and it's braced on the inside. So, yeah, so I don't think we're going to take the second one down tonight. I think I'll wait till tomorrow. But yeah, that was a good job. We did it safely, and it worked. And that's part of the hard part of this room, is getting those windows down. And I'm so glad, I'm relieved almost, to get one down and have a method of getting the next one down also. I usually pack up a little early because I have to water all my trees and take care of those. So, yeah, I think it's about that time where I work on the trees and take the rest of the evening off. That was a big step forward for the plant room, getting that window down. And it's slowly getting closer to getting that, sloped roof, flat sloped roof on top. I kneeled down, didn't I? You got it, right?
Okay, I got some tension here.
Okay. Okay, we're lowering it down.
I'm pulling third cards. So.
Good, good. On there. I can't really get much weight on here.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay.
All right. Just make sure it doesn't slide off. That's much. We don't hit any. You okay? Yeah, I think if we get on each side on the second level, we can kind of feed it down, right?
Yeah.
Gives you lots to hang on to.
You want me to hold on the rope again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be on this side, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
This rope here?
Yeah. The yellow one. Yeah, you just got to pull her tight, and then we're going to lower this down.
Okay.
Are you ready, Laura?
Never.
Okay, you got her tight, Jules?
Hold on to it tight. We're just lowering it down. You're going to help us. Okay. Now we have to make it perpendicular,
Yeah,
right?
we got- okay, give us a little more slack, Jules.
Okay, we're going to bring it perpendicular.
Hanging on, you can kind of lean against this platform if you need to. That's going good, Jules. A little more
Good.
rope. A little more.
Okay, yeah, we've got
And we're
it
down.
down to the platform.
And Laura's just... Okay, you got the weight, Jules? Okay, here we go. Just, we're slowly lowering it down now. That's a good job, Julian.
Okay,
Just
so we're gonna make it
slowly feed it
perpendicular.
down.
Perpendicular, perpendicular. Is it on the, is it on
It
it?
is, yeah, we can go right down.
We can?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Just slowly feed her
I've got
down.
no blocks,
Oh yeah,
but that's okay.
that's okay. Slowly, Jules, that's it. We're almost there. Another 12 centimeters to go. Okay, it's on the ground.
Okay.
So that's how you take a window down. I've got the two windows down now. So the next job is to get the center beam down. Yep. Okay, now should be able to pull it off.
Okay.
Lift it down. It's pretty light, this wood.
Yeah, it's not that heavy.
I don't know why it's not heavy, but
Probably can just snap
it's a young softwood. So all the really high work is done now. So it's kind of more at a reasonable height now. Makes me feel a little more comfortable working up there. Okay, it's released. All right, here we go with
Don't
the
go
plywood.
too far because I'm going to have to get under it.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we are in the plant room now. So you can see this is what it looks like now. So the roof slope will match what's already there. So it'll be a lot smaller looking the room, I'm sure, without the big cathedral ceiling on it. So it is supposed to rain on Monday. So my first steps, I'm going to have to take the Canada arm down, and I'm going to make a really good one. That'll be coming up probably over the winter. And then I've got to put some wood up here, and then we're going to run our beams or rafters across here and put the tarp on top of that, and it'll just be a temporary thing. We're supposed to get 3 days of rain, so. And then everything from the wall back here over this whole triangular section here will have to be removed, because that's going to be all replaced. So yeah, it's hard to know where to start, but and then I'm going to have to rebuild all this section of the old roof up there, fix all that. So that might be a bit of work too. Yeah, lots of work to go. So the rot continues. These pieces look really good from the inside, and they are. They're nice and strong. But if we go up the ladder here, you can see the tops. It's just rotted away from the outside. So I don't know. It might be this styrofoam they put on the outside that kind of trapped the moisture in there, so it couldn't evaporate, and it just rotted from the outside in. Because that's what it sure looks like. All the wood touching the styrofoam is just totally rotted. Yeah, so this wood that looks good on the inside may not be so good. I may have to do quite a bit of replacing. You can also see how the wall wobbles, because there's no one piece of wood going across the span. It's divided in the middle, and it's pretty flimsy. So we'll strengthen it all up. I'm getting lots of nice fall colors in the room here today. Some nice scarlet maple leaves. Yeah, so every day I end up sweeping them out of this room. So yeah, if we do get rain, if any water leaks in here, it's going to pool, and then it'll probably either drain down the cracks into the basement, or it'll rush out the door here. So yeah, I better get that tarp up there for Monday for sure. It's getting close to the end of the day. You can see the sun is going to set in probably an hour, maybe an hour and a half. So I'm done up here for today. I'm going to water my trees and that. So here it is. I've got everything off the top of the windows there, so I'm going to replace. There used to be 2 beams across there. I'm going to replace it with one solid one going all the way across. And it'll probably end. There's some good wood over in this area, so I'll cut away the bad stuff and end the beam there. So that should help strengthen that. And then on the back side, it'll be doubled up. So on the back side, I'll have the vertical beam, and then I'll just have the 2 shorter beams each side of the center beam there. Yeah, so what else have I done? I cleaned up this corner over here, got rid of some of the debris there and the rotted stuff. So this whole project, it reminds me of when I was young. We used to buy Alfa Romeo cars really cheap. We would get them for $500, $600, $700, and we would try and fix them up so we could do time trials or slaloms with them on the racetrack and in parking lots around all the pylons and that. And so we would buy the car for really cheap, and you'd start digging in to get it fixed up to pass the safety, and one thing would lead to another. You'd see rust and more rust and more rust, and this kind of reminds me of that you know, I started out this project not knowing how much rot was in this room, and it just keeps going. It just yeah, it's everywhere you look. So I think I've got most of the rotten parts cleaned out now. So the demolition is almost done. So now it's back. It'll be back to construction soon, which should go quite well. It's just a matter of cutting the pieces off right, screwing them in place, and making sure everything's right. So yeah, that's the plant room at the end of today. So those Alfa Romeo cars, we used to fix them up in the backyards, me and my friends. and they would barely pass tech inspection. They were put together the best we could, but you know, they're definitely on a budget. And then we'd race them around the track, Moseport, Shannonville. We would do time trials in parking lots around pylons. It was so much fun. We had a blast. And you know, the Alfa Romeos were great cars. They were a 4-cylinder twin cam, sodium filled exhaust valves. They were all aluminum, 5-speed transmission, limited slip differential, 2-liter, fantastic cars. Really light and fast and great handling. Here's an afternoon update. I've removed all the styrofoam from this wall. I wanted to see what wood was good and what was bad, and there's some rot at the top of the beam there. I've got the piece above the windows there roughly in place. So I think what I'm going to do is cover all this with like a 2x10 going up here. That'll strengthen it all, tie it all into the lower part down here above the foundation. Give it some really good strength for this wall. Yeah, so that's what I'm working on, just roughing it in. It is supposed to rain tomorrow, so that's why I've got this header board up here, and we've got a joist cut that I'll screw temporarily in place, and maybe a couple of them to put the tarps over, try and keep the rain out. And hopefully, if I can make this kind of dry enough, I can keep working. I want to replace some of the supports underneath the window here. There's a bit of rod in there. Yeah, so I can do all this kind of work in here if I have a tarp above. It's about supper time now, and we're making progress getting it ready for the rain. So I'll show you what it looks like inside. So here it is. We have got one joist just temporarily in place. It's screwed in here and just resting on this board over here. And we've got this mesh up here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's there. So there's a mesh, it's a steel mesh that will support the tarp, and then we'll put the tarp over across all this. And it slopes downhill, so it should drain both directions quite well. Yeah, should keep the room fairly dry. We will see anyway. So yeah, we've still got to put the tarp up, and we've still got to put a bit of mesh at the end here of the roof. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get it all done tonight. Here's a shot of what it looks like now with the sloped roof. You can start to see what it'll look like with the one joist we put up there. Yeah, so a lot of work to go. I'm in the plant room now. Here it is, and it has its tarp roof on. So let me see if I can get a shot. This is the one corner of the room. So normally when I'm filming videos, I have the camera somewhere over here, shooting out this direction. So there's the roof up there. Well, the future roof anyway. Yeah, I'll get you a shot from the outside too. There's a shot from the outside showing the tarp draped over the wire mesh and the one joist and the end bit of there. So yeah, we're hoping that keeps the rain off. Here's a shot looking on top of the roof. So there's the part of the roof that's still good over there. Yeah, so you can kind of see inside the room a bit with the wire. Yeah, so we're just working on tying the tarp down nice and taut and secure in case we get some high winds and rain, and it won't go flying anywhere. Yeah, so that was quite a job getting this all done today, but we got it done. Ready for rain soon. Here's a shot of the plant room from this direction. Sure looks like a small room now without that big triangle up there. Just looks like a regular little porch. But it'll be better. Less area to heat. All my heat won't go up to the top of the peak because it used to get really, really hot up there, and it would stay cool down lower. So you know, there'd be less air to circulate in here. I can have a fan on and it'll blow it around. And yeah, I think it'll be better all round in the end. And I'll either put skylights up here or I'll have LED lights on the roof on the inside. I've been thinking a lot about skylights. They let a lot of natural light in, but there is that leaking factor. Anything that cuts into the nice roof has a chance of leaking. So I've really got to think about skylights if I want to go that direction, or just use LED lights instead. Last night was the first big test of the temporary roof on the plant room, and it survived quite well. Let's go inside now. I'm in the plant room now, and I prepared for the worst last night. I got all these buckets on the floor down here, just in case the roof leaked. I was ready for it, but I didn't need it. All the buckets are totally dry. There was no water came in here at all on the floor, which is just amazing. So that was really good. It was nice to know that our temporary roof did the job. The wire mesh that we used on the roof here is from cattle fencing. We get that at the farm supply store. So that did its job really well. It held the tarp taut there so it didn't droop down and get the weight of the water and then start leaking in the room. So, it's so good. So now I can work away in the plant room, finishing all the structure under here and covering the outer part of it without getting wet if we get, you know, lots of rainy days in a row. So I think my next job will be to clean up outside. I've got all this styrofoam lying on the ground. That's just a mess. So I might have to take the truck for a trip to the dump, which is always fun. My insurance company wanted me to get an appraisal done to the truck. They wanted to know kind of what it's worth because it's an older vehicle. So I had a guy who specializes in classic cars come by and do an appraisal. There's not too many people that do these kind of appraisals. So we had a good look at the truck. We started it. He inspected it for over an hour. Looked underneath, everywhere on the truck. And he said he thinks it's worth, he was going to appraise it for $20,000, which I think is pretty reasonable. I think, you know, the amount of work I've put into it, I think that's a fair appraisal. So that's kind of what he thinks the market value for this truck is. That's an update to the plant room. Now let's update some of the trees. The first update for today is my Natal ficus. In the last video, I had cut back these really long leaders, which were, you know, 1 meter long, in hopes of getting more branching back here and to bring the tree back into a compact state. And it looks like it's been successful. So the next operation on this tree will be to select which shoots I want to keep and develop into creating a canopy on this tree. Jared from Jarhead Bonsai sent me a Delonix Regia, and it's growing really well now. So let's go in the greenhouse for an update. Oh, except it's way back there somewhere and I can't reach it. I'll have to clear out some of these trees and then we'll come in for the update. I managed to get the Delonix from way back in there and I put it down here so you can have a look at it. So here it is. So when I got it, it had maybe a couple of leaves on it and they were looking pretty yellowy and some of them fell off. You can see the leaves in the bottom of the pot there. But all this is new growth and you can see the new leader coming here. So yeah, this is really exciting because I know this tree is very special to Jared in Jarhead Bonsai because it was his very first bonsai, was a Delonix. And so it's nice to have a Delonix in my collection now. And whenever I see it, I'll think of Jarhead Bonsai. It's kind of cool. The next update is my Osage Orange Forest. These trees were all started from seeds 2 years ago, so this is their second summer. And it's looking really good. It's not a polished, finished forest, but for 2 years old, I think it's looking quite charming. And I really enjoy looking at it. And you can see now it's starting to get some fall colors back there, some yellow leaves. So it should look pretty spectacular in fall. And it'll only get better in the future. I'm really looking forward to developing these Osage orange trees. I was working on my avatar grove in the last video, and it's still got a bit of finishing work to do on the landscape. So I thought I would dig out my clump style collected cedar, which is beside it here, and just show you how it changed over this year. So I haven't pruned it. It has a lot of new growth on it. It's kind of wide and getting out of shape, but I think after pruning it'll look a lot better. You can see all the moss at the base of the tree. That has just grown all by itself. I didn't plant any. It just spontaneously grew there on the soil. It took a few years, but yeah, so that, I think the trees are looking really good. It looks really natural. I'm happy with the progress of it. I think, you know, a few more years of refining and it'll look maybe show-worthy, I think. Next is an update of my royal oaks. Here they are. These were from seeds. I think this is their, what is it now? They were started in winter. They went through a summer, didn't grow very well. I overwintered them. So this is year 2 for these. And you can see, you know, the trunk's getting fairly thick for a tree grown from seed. Yeah, so this is their second year growing as a pre-bonsai. Looking quite good. I've been showing you forests that are 2 years old, and now we'll look at one. This is the end of the first summer for these bayberry trees or wax myrtles. There's my black bear in there that Tom sent me, really cool. Yeah, so this forest has gotten quite overgrown this summer, but it's looking good. It's got a good sense of perspective. I'm liking it. So yeah, for year 1, the bayberries are doing awesome. Here's an update to my apple tree. It's still alive and doing well through all the hardships of life. It's been growing really well this year. I'll show you the leader. I cut the leader I'd been growing for several years in spring to try and get some branching and make it more compact. So it's divided into 2, and the one has really taken off. I'll show you how tall that is. There's the top of it up there. So quite a height for the apple tree this year. So once it loses its leaves, goes dormant, I'll prune that top off and we'll get it back to a compact form and then grow it again next spring. The next update for today is my asparagus fern, and I think it's a toss-up between my aloe bonsai and my asparagus fern, which is growing monstrously large the fastest. They're both turning into these great big plants, which is pretty cool. If you see my hand here, how big they are, which I like. I like this thing becoming a big monstrous bonsai. There is some ripened berries on it. If you see down here, you can see the red berry in there, right there. And there's another one here that hasn't ripened up yet, a green one. I'll try and show you the roots down here. You can see the new aerial roots growing down alongside the roots that form the trunk. And I'll spin it around and show you the back because there's more roots on the back side. Here's the back side of the tree, and you can see all this new growth that's still pushing out everywhere. It's just incredible. So let's go down low and look at the roots. So you can see them in there. All the white ones are new roots that are growing, aerial roots. They grow down into the soil and form that trunk-like structure. Many people wouldn't consider this plant a bonsai, but you know, I'm working on shaping it to a tree-like form. It needs pruning now, but it's a plant in a pot that's being shaped to look like a miniature tree, and I think to me that qualifies as a bonsai. And it's a really easy plant to take care of. Can survive the dry apartment heat or, you know, the dry heat in indoors in houses and that. It flowers, it grows well. It's got a lot going for it as a bonsai. Next up is my Norfolk Island pine forest. And it's been growing really well this summer, getting lots of branches coming on it. The moss is really, really thick. Way too thick. I just haven't had time to get that pruned back because I've been working on the plant room this summer, but it'll get back in shape one of these days. So yeah, lots of good growth on the Norfolk Island pines. Really happy with them. A lot of people ask me, well, how do I get branches on them and that? And you just keep pinching them. They'll eventually get branches. It takes a while to build up a good strong root system with these trees. They don't grow roots really easily. So some of these smaller ones back here are from cuttings, and it took 2 years before they even got the start of some roots in the cuttings. So you have to be patient, get a good strong root system going, and eventually you get some good top growth on the trees. And they seem to take pruning quite well. You can prune the branches and try and keep that triangular form. So we'll be pruning this over the winter, getting it back in shape. Kind of exciting. I've got these African vines. They're a succulent type vine, and I put a bunch of cuttings in this pot, and they fatten up. I guess that's called a codex, I think. And every year they die back, so you're just left with these sort of trunks. And then in spring, the vines start growing again. And as the vines grow, they droop down and they get, I don't know if I've got any sections. Here's one section. You can see there's a fat section on the vine. So if you cut that off and plant it, you'll end up with this in about 2 years. So really cool. And I'm thinking of doing an African style landscape with these. I think they would be just perfect. Maybe a fairly large landscape, rocks, and sort of these representing, I don't know, some kind of African tree. That would look really cool. So yeah, there's an African succulent vine, and I've looked up the name of them, but I can never remember what they're called. I can't remember plants by their scientific names. So yeah, a really cool plant. That's an update to it. Really interesting. And I think this is fairly rare too. I've never seen another one like it. My last update for today is my Portulacaria afroforest, sometimes called a mini jade. I've always said that summer is for growing, and I let these grow for the summer, and grow they did. They've been doing really well. So that helps thicken up your trunks. You can let them grow wild, and then I'll have to prune them back short and redevelop my branch structure. Some of the trees that died over the winter, they never did come back. So out of the 11 trees I initially had, I've lost 5 trees, and I have 6 remaining that look super healthy. So I don't think there'll be a problem with the remaining trees. So I'll have to, when I prune the top here, I'll have to take cuttings, plant them to replace the trees that I lost, and it'll fill the forest back out fairly quickly too. So that's the plan for the Portulacaria afros, and my last update for today. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone. I managed to grab. Next is my Norfolk Island forest. Not Norfolk Island forest. Norfolk Island pine forest, Nigel.